Okay, so we want to combine our files. We want to take all of the bits, the model bits, and put them into one file, take them from multiple files. So what are we talking about? We're talking about file management. And that's that sort of messy, ugly word that doesn't often register until we realize it's really a problem and we need to deal with it. The way that I'm going to suggest that we do it is we drag and drop or copy paste all of the files into worksheets for fills and stories for 3D things, and those 3D things are slabs, and some of those slabs are then turned into morphs. So here we've got the walls as slabs, and on this one I've named this one morphed walls and portals. We want these both on the same story because they're basically the same stuff. So we want to put all of these in place, but we want to keep both of them in order to be able to edit them if necessary. So we've got all of the bits and pieces. So we're going to copy and paste these between the files in order to make these ones work well. So let's open up the individual bits. We copy across. So what's this? What are we looking at here? We're looking at slabs. We don't need to morph these in this case because they are in this orientation. We only need to morph something if we're altering its orientation. And then we've got another slab around the outside, and this is sort of to create a bounding box, which will sort of lock it all in, but it's also intended to be slightly lower than our floor, so it looks like we've got a slight rebate, which happens in real life, but it also will lock in all of these edges, and so the feet of the walls would otherwise fall out the sides without something around the outside of them. So it'll help for that as well. So we're going to copy all of this across. Copy, paste. Where's it going to go? This is our ground floor slab. We could put this onto a different story as base. It's not really essential. We'll leave that blank for now, just in case we need something to go under all of this. The problem that we will have is that in terms of our ability to make it cuttable, we have a limitation. Let's use a fill instead. That's probably a bit smarter. And we'll just make it empty for now. Of 60 by 45. Now this is is still 100 times larger than it is, but that's because we're working currently at 100 times larger. Then of course at some point soon we need to take this and make it all 100 times smaller so we can actually print out to scale. But what that means is if I hover this over here, we see that we can't actually fit the whole model on in one go. So what are we going to do? What have we done? Instead, we've looked at, well, how could we create these as two different parts and then key them together? So we've created some jigsaw bits. This is two slabs, and if we move that slab away, we see that this has a key which will lock it in, and so they'll fit nicely together. And that means we have to constantly be reminding ourselves, move, rotate. Is there any bit that does or does not fit into that space? Now this outside box we see works pretty well, but it's just outside of the red box as well. So maybe we just make it slightly smaller so it actually fits. So I was hoping to do it 5 meters around the outside, but obviously 5 meters is a little bit too much. So let's maybe reduce that down by 3 on all of the sides. But of course, if I want to do that on all sides, I can make that simpler by going offset all edges. And that does it all in one go. So now we've got two parts. We've got one part, two part, and where do these join? If I was to move this somewhere here, it doesn't need to be perfect, I could see that around about here they don't quite work. So I have a choice of where I break it. I can break it one way or the other way, and I want to effectively be able to key these together as well. So let's have a look at how we could key these, and just to keep it interesting, we'll do it in 2 different directions. And so we'll take this one and we'll split it. Now this can be a little bit tricky because it's very hard to split something without splitting it in 2 orientations. So how would we do that? The best way to do it is by making a hole. So we see that that's split, but it's still not split on the other side, and we'll split it here as well. Adding some new nodes. So we can see now that's in 2 parts. Now what I really want to do is to not have this joint and this joint in the same place. I really want to try to keep these as separate as possible. So I'm going to move this across a bit. And we could line it up with here if we wanted to. Or we could move it the other way. It doesn't really matter as long as we can fit the other panel in. So let's try that. We'll move that across a bit. Now we can use a real number rather than a crazy number. So let's do that. Alright, so we've got 2 points. And now we can join these back up again, as in move them until they intersect, but they will remain 2 different slabs, which is what we want. And then how do we create a key? Basically, we just created a shape. We'll do the same thing. We'll just use a slightly more elongated shape this time. I used a fill to be able to draw that shape. What do we see this is? This is 2 meters. Let's make this one 2 by 2. And then we will offset this one a little bit. 500 millimeters in, 500 in, and then we need to, if we want to key it, make one side, the side that it connects to, slightly smaller. So we have to know which way it's connecting to. In this case, it's connecting this way. It doesn't need to be much, so we'll just do, I missed that, so let's try that again, 200. Or even 150. I just don't want it to be too thin. Now we could make this key much more complicated if we want to, but it doesn't need to be. It just needs to not slip out. So add to polygon and subtract from polygon. And once I've done that, I want to get rid of the red fill. Let's do the same thing again. Of course, a faster way would be just to copy that. So drag a copy. Let's do the same thing here. Move, rotate. Let's move that to rotate it this way. Move that to the middle. Add. Subtract. And delete. So now we have bits, we have model bits for slabs, and we'll keep this over here. We can even change that to a dash line if that helps to, maybe a long dash line. Helps to understand what its function is, but this is our template to know if something is the right size. So we have our ground floor slabs, we have our morphed walls. Now, hopefully, if we were to right-click, show as trace reference, we see that they're not in the right place at the moment, so that's the next thing that we need to do. We need to put these into place and make sure that they are aligned with where they need to be. We can do that in plan, we can do that in 3D. We could start it off in plan and hopefully find that they are right, but sometimes it's hard to know where they go based on their length. So if I was to move that here, if I can see that they both fit at both ends, that probably is a simple way to start. And then if I can move that here, again, hopefully that's working for us. The only thing that could be wrong, probably, is the height, and then we can come back and fix that height later. I want to make sure I'm getting reference points. I'm clicking, so I'm always looking for which points do they relate to. Making sure it's lining up with both ends. This one's easy because I've got a much easier reference point. This one needs to be rotated. Hopefully it's the same both ends. We'll find out soon. Got a bit of a problem with that one. We'll have to come back to that and fix it up. And this one connects here. And that one looks fine. So there's just a problem with that one. We'll have to find out where that problem is found and see if we can fix it in the morph. And it's probably worth then fixing the slab as well. So we've got the morphs, we've got the slabs, we'll go down, In this one we've got the portals. So let's find out where they are. Probably on the roof. So here we've got both parts. We've got portals saved as morphs and the portals saved as slabs. Let's copy paste all these first. And then we'll cut out the ones that are slabs. And we'll create a new one up here. Rename portal slabs. And keep them here for reference. I didn't do that right. Let's go up here. These are still fills. Alright, what's that? Hopefully that wasn't important. It's a bit scary. It looks like it was still there. It was just one that wasn't deleted. Alright, so now we've got to move these portals into place. Where do they come from? Slightly hard to do in 3D maybe. Hopefully we can align them. They're not all in place at the moment, so I'll move them away and do them one at a time. I'll grab the corner, otherwise it's going to make life very tricky. Hopefully we can line up a corner and choose a point to make sense of it all as we go. Where does that sit? Does that sit over the hole? No, it should actually sit against the walls. We can use that same logic to line up all of them if necessary. So if we can't figure it out, we can start there and then move it up till it hits the wall. I'm very used to doing the right click move, but I do have commands for that on my palette, so that does make life a bit easier. Sorry, my toolbar, I've created a custom toolbar with those commands. Alright, let's look at these in 3D and see if they're working at the moment. Now, what's the problem they're going to face? I've got these on a different story. This is on one story. These are on a different story. So, in order for this to work, I need to either make them at the wrong height, as in think about what sort of height I have between the stories, or place them all on one story. These can create issues. Let's start by making the ground floor 0, 0 to above. We've still got the slabs, they haven't disappeared, so that works well. And then when we select all of these, let's see what else we have here. We don't have the roof yet. Those are up there. So at the moment we just want these ones, and what we could do is just move the walls away a bit. So they're still in this file, moved away, so that way when we go to our 3D model, if we get the thick marquee, then we're going to now see all of these together. So we can see straight away some of them aren't working. What's that based on? Just when we rotate things, it's very common that they're not quite right. So we need to get a lot of these all lined up. So we have these slabs here. Now I should be able to do this in my head a bit. We know that we need this to be a 300mm slab, and we want this to be set down minus 300mm from the top. Whereas this slab, we want to be 600mm, and we want it to be aligned with the story. So that's working nicely. Now let's go around and have a look in plan at how these are working. We see that this one's too low, this one's probably sitting just right. We can always lift it up if we're not sure. So there's a few ways we could do that. We can use a drag tool. The drag tool allows us to move anywhere in all directions. If we move up and hold shift, we see that that yellow line is keeping it straight. The other option is use the elevate tool, but the elevate tool allows us to elevate numerically, and if we don't know what that is, it can be harder to use in 3D. So we're going to just use drag. We just need to make sure that we hold that shift key, or we find a reference point. This is valuable to see. In the last one I was explaining, we can see that there is a problem when we see these two surfaces overlap one another. So that's what we're seeing here. We're seeing the two surfaces overlap. So we need to make sure that we move that up so that overlap's not happening, and then make sure that all of these other references work together nicely, and that tells us that we've done it correctly. So we can see there's a little bit of an issue there. We won't worry about that yet. We'll come around to it. We'll start at the other end, and we'll keep going until we get all of these hopefully looking correct. Oh, what's happening here? That's too low. Okay, let's try to fix that. Let's elevate that a lot, and then bring it back down again.
Would you just use the numbers?
It's not easy to elevate this using numbers because I need to know where this would be. So the base of that will be what? That'll be minus 600. So I could do it like that. I just need to know what the number is that I'm looking for. So the issue that we see with this one is it was rotated in the wrong orientation. So in order to fix this, and we couldn't tell that by plans, I'm glad I didn't try to stretch it. So to fix this, we need to select, what is it? It's a morph. So select an edge, use the free rotate. This time I need to make sure I choose the right surface. So I'm going to choose the face and rotate its face up. And then I will use points to match these because it's now out of alignment. It still looks like it's out of alignment slightly. Where could this be going wrong? If I'm not sure, I can go back to plan. This should be sitting at 0. It is sitting at 0. It could be that it was flipped the wrong way around, so we see that in both cases it's low. But I haven't checked this one yet. Let's come back to it. Always, not always leave mistakes to last, but in this case I don't want to make more mistakes, so I want to make sure that everything else is sitting as it should. Minus 600. Minus 600. That one doesn't look right. What's happening there? The teeth aren't quite aligned. And I also don't want to, I could stretch the morph, but stretching the morph is only going to fix the morph. It's not going to fix the slab or the original fill. And at the end of the day, I'm only creating these morphs in order to be able to help me know how to draw the slab or the fill. So it's probably better to identify problems, not necessarily to fix problems, at least not in this method. The other thing, so we see there's a couple more potential problems. We'll keep going first and try to get these worked out. Minus 600. That's looking good. And that's looking good. Okay, so as we talked about previously, if we're not quite sure and we can't see it, which we can't see these very well, we can see this one better in this view, but if we can't see this in this view, we can change to our wireframe and identify if there's any overlaps. These actually look great. I don't see any overlaps there. Those ones work quite well. We can see there's definitely an overlap here. If I try to look at it from a few different views, of course this is the issue that I've talked about before with 3D. We talk about 3D, but all I'm looking at is actually a two-dimensional screen. So until I rotate my view, I can be very deceived as to what's going wrong. It's easier in this orientation to understand where the trouble is found, but it's often not until I select it that I can tell which lines I'm looking at. So we see here that we've got a height differentiation problem. So if I was to stretch that, I've got about 101 millimeters difference with the position of those teeth, and it's this one here, the one that's facing west, that's creating the problem. Is there any others? This one we see has the same problem, and we'll just see if it's got the same problem in which axis. They both look like they're out the same distance. So if we go back to our detailed shading, we could say that we probably have a problem, and it's up to us to choose which one we want to change. We could either change the yellow one or the red one, but we also need to change this blue one. So we might do the blue and the yellow one just for consistency's sake. Again, we're not going to change that here. We'll change that in the slab or in the fill. So if we go to the model walls, this is the fills where we originally got this from. And this area, I might just put a circle around it just to identify it. That was one of the problems. And this one here in relation to this one was one of the problems. So let's now rotate this one and find out where there was a problem and if we can fix it. Edit, grouping, group. Edit, move, rotate. So we can see there that was where we found the problem. So we need to move one of them. Let's just see what those numbers are, see if there is a rational number somewhere. That one's 600, 700. It's very easy to see where it went wrong. Basically, it could have just been rotated the wrong way, and that would have given us the issue. Now that we have these base plates, that makes it much easier to identify the problem. So we know we have to fix one of them. Let's just see what we've done on the other side. 600 at the bottom, 700 at the top. So we'll keep that consistent and we'll move the holes to align with the teeth. We can check to see if that's the same. We can see that that's different as well. So it would be good probably to line up these and make sure that these are doing the same thing as well. And while we're here, we'll move this one up. And we see that that now is close, slightly out as well. Where's it going wrong? 600, 605. And check that. Alright, now we fix that, we'll move that back into place. Where does that go? If I can't remember, turn on my wall slab, show as trace reference. Rotate that back around. So now we've error checked all of the walls. We've error checked them using 2D projection. We missed some things in 2D projection, and we've error checked it now in 3D, and we've worked out that there was a few problems with 3D, but we've now fixed those so we can be more confident that there is no more problems. Cool?
Yeah.
All right, Lex, I'll just finish copying this for you. So we'll get the last bits in the file. I think we've already done this one. That was the portal frames, and this one was the roof panels. So we're going to copy these across. Copy. Roofs. Get rid of that marquee for a second. We know that these aren't in the right place, so we might as well just move them away for the time being, and then we'll figure out exactly where they need to go. They don't quite join either, which makes life a little bit tricky. So in order to understand where they sit, it's a good idea to turn those portal frames on. So where do we find those portal frames? We move those to our portal slabs. So we might move these into place, and this will give us a better understanding of where to place our roofs. So these sit here in terms of understanding the relationship one way, or do they?
What happened? That was alright.
So there's a problem somewhere. Let's see where it's going wrong. What have I not allowed for? I haven't allowed for the wall thickness. Let's turn on the morphed wall. Show us trace reference. Slight freak out. Okay, great. That's looking good. Turn on the roof. Show portal slabs as trace reference. And then we need to move these into place. Now where should they sit? We want them all to be straight, so we'll just move them across closer just so they're easier to see. And now hopefully these move, so this one should align. Now these have to be rotated, so they won't quite fit, they will actually overlap. In order to make sure that these are going to work, we do need to actually save a copy of these as morphs. So we'll copy these, move, drag a copy, and we want to convert these individually, not all as one, individually into morphs. Before we do that, we want to make sure they're in place over the roof. Sorry, what was... We don't want them to be one morph. They won't work if they're one morph. So we want to move these so they all align, so they're all in the right orientation. So we see that aligns, that aligns. So they're aligned in one axis, but not in the other two. So we want to convert each one to a morph. Let's check the thickness, 300 mil, that's fine. Let's change the surface material though. So we'll override the surface material, and we'll make these ones, we've used a few colors already. We might make these ones purple, so they're easier to identify. And we might go down to our morphed portals, because it's going to have the biggest relationship between the morphed portals. And we'll override those settings and change those to yellow should be fine. Alright, let's check back on those. Right click, convert selection to morph. Right, let's now view this in 3D, same way as before. So what do we need to rotate, and how do we need to rotate it? We need to rotate these not very much, just the angle that we see here. So in order to rotate these, I'll select the ones I want to rotate first. I could potentially do 2 of these at a time, but it'll be safer just to do 1 at a time. So I'll select it, click on the edge of the morph I want to change, free rotate, then I need to find an appropriate reference line. What's the problem? I chose the wrong way. So I need to free rotate. Can I choose a corner and get the right angle? No. How do I fix this? I either need to know how to rotate it. So if I was to select this and press free rotate and click, I can define the angle. So if I know what angle it is, I don't have to do it all in 3D. So if I go to 2D, if I go to my, let's say, portal slabs, now it's going to be a little bit hard to figure this out based on the angle of where they're at. I might just rotate these around temporarily now that we've got the portals into place. And if I measure that 6.23, I'll do both these ones first. 6.28. I'll draw a line here and then I'll mirror it, is the easiest way to do it. .09. .28. So let's do one at a time. So starting from where we were is this one here. Again, it's easier to do that if we mirror it. 6.09. I could also write in order to avoid having to do this again and again and again, I could give myself 2 lines and I could use angle dimension tool. So that might save me some time later. Angle dimension tool. Now I hope that's a straight line. Pretty much. 6.23. So I've got all my different numbers there. 6.09. I hope that they're the same for all the others as well, otherwise we're going to have some problems. So we'll see how we go. 6.09, let's go back to 3D. See if we go show all, what's it going to do? Is it going to be too messy? Should be okay. I might just elevate, so I'll drag these up so they're more visible. Alright, let's try that. Free rotate. Type in the angle A, 6.09. Moment of truth. Let's drag it from a reference point. Let's use the tooth. The portal frames might not be sitting on the ground. No, it's looking pretty good. Alright. Let's leave all the portal frames at the height they are now. They're too high, but it's helpful to see them at this height, and then we'll drag them all down to height next. So let's go back between these views. Where were we at before? Portal slabs. The next one was 6.28. See if this is just as easy to do. .28. That's what we're looking for. We talked about this before, that those should look just like that. So mostly that's working okay. .04. One more. 6.23. All right, let's group all these together. Group, 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 group. We can do the same with the morphed portals. Let's group these together. And now we want to see if these are intersecting the way that we want it to. So let's use a section to intersect the portals through the slab and see what's happening. Do that again. What am I doing?
What are
Right?
you doing? Section.
I'm trying. Okay. Let's see if these are grouped. They should be grouped. All the grooves, move, drag. That's a bit of a worry. Why is that not a hole? Let's go have a look at that slab. It might not be a problem because we're looking at a different column, at a different portal. Let's go back to ground and we'll just now move the section marker through to this one, but I see a problem here maybe already. Let's check. Open with current view settings. Okay, great. A little bit scary, but it's alright. There's just shadow there, we don't need to worry about the shadow. It's all coming together as planned. Lovely. Let's go into 3D. Show all in 3D. So we see, apart from those walls that we needed to fix, which we fixed in 2D, the roof works really nicely. There's a bit of a hole in the middle, but that's okay. I was alright with that. That's where the box cutter is, so that's fine. The roof works on the teeth of the portal frames, which is really nice, and the portal frames fit into the teeth of the floor. So all of the bits are working together smoothly. The only ones we had to fix were the walls, which are already fixed. So we can now prepare all of the bits to be printed. What does that mean? Well, we're going back to our worksheets. We need to be able to make sure that everything that needs to be cut is using the right pen. So we can use fills, it makes sense to stay with fills, but we need all of our pens to be the right type. So we need two pens. We need a red pen and we need a black pen. Now we actually need two specific types of pens with a specific thickness. So if we go Option Elements, Pens and Colors, we're going to use one of these. We'll use this one here. We will start changing it. So we'll just use pens 1 and 2. In this case, we'll go pen 1 is black and 0.1, and we'll call this, because we can actually give names to pens, we can call this model or laser etch.
I don't know if it's too late to ask. Can I ask you one thing?
Yep.
Are you gonna make the model?
And we'll just change red to 0, 1 as well, and we'll call that the same name.
Roof removable?
Cut. And before we forget what we're doing, store as, and we'll change the name, overwrite, or store as a new name. We'll call this one laser cut pens. So we want everything that's going to be cut to be red. So in this case we'll choose that pen. We want to hide everything that we don't need, of course. Layers, hide layer. Doesn't work if you only use one layer. So what we're going to do is put everything on the right layers. So we've created good layers. So this one is a I haven't copied those across. All right, I'll need to go here and Control L. Hopefully we've got all of these here. Great. Well, I've got all of these pieces of text. Where am I going? That must be on the model. Okay, great. We choose all these pieces of text, and these pieces of text are all created with a new layer. And so by doing this and copying them across into our file, we copy across all of these layers as well. So all of these layers are the layer names that we're going to use. So in our worksheets, this model, we need to make sure that we've got the right model base. This is the wrong model base, so we'll copy across the correct model base. And we'll put it on the right layer. So this needs to be on a layer called Model Fill Base. These need to be on a layer called Model Fill Feet, and that layer can be hidden. We want it to be, sorry, let's change that again, cut. And in this case we make it airspace. We don't want to have a cover fill anymore. There's no etching to be done on this, so that's all that we need to do. And then we can go through all of the different parts. Model portals. Now we know that these are wrong as well, so we need to replace these with the new ones. We've already got these in a different place. These are up in portal slabs, so we'll take them from here. But what I might not have copied across was the etching. So if we go back to portal frames, then we want to keep these lines as well. So we'll copy those across. Model portals, let's replace those. Everything that's a fill, we want to now be airspace. Doesn't matter about the fill color, but it matters about the outline color. And then all of the lines we want to be pen 1. And we need to make sure all of these are on the right layer. We could also create a new layer if we wanted to. So all of the fills in this case will group together. Edit grouping group. All of these are going to be on the one called model fill portals. The etching could also be on model fill portals, or we could create a new layer called model etch. And then with the roof, these were our roof slabs, but if we go back to our worksheets, model roof, these are our fills, which are the same, except they have the ability to be etched as well. So we'll select all these, copy, take to the plan, model roof, delete all these and replace. Again, start with all of the fills. These are all grouped separately, so there's 2 different types of fills, so I have to select all of these. We need to separate out our outlines from our cuts or our etching. So I'll grab the main panels, we'll group those together, edit grouping group, and that means because everything was grouped together, these ones will now be separate, edit grouping group, and we'll change these. So we want everything to be empty fill or airspace, and then we want these ones to be outline. Need to make sure we're in our right pens. It looks like we've changed our pen type. Cut. And these are all going to be etched. Now in some cases the etches go across the cuts, which is a bit silly because it's not going to work. So we should fix those. So to fix those, what should we do? They should be offset short. These are fills, so we can trim and cut. Split or reduce. We can do that in a few different ways. And then just like before, I'm not going to repeat all of those at the moment, and then just like before, once we've done all of that, we need to make sure that they are all going to be appropriately sized. So we can take our fill and test that. Against all of our bits. Obviously that's not a problem at all. But what we should try to do, now that we know that they're correct, and we can group these together, edit group, edit group. Let's go Control G to make that a bit faster. Is then try to be as efficient as possible. So if we take, let's make sure these stay grouped. If we take these, we want to fit them into this, and we might rotate. We can't mirror, what we could mirror, but that's dangerous in terms of getting them confused. We might want to try to nest these as much as possible, just to be efficient with our laser cutting. so we're not wasting any of the sheet size. Now we might just leave this for portals, or we could put other things on this particular sheet as well, but then we'll just do the same thing with the other ones. Can we get all of these in one sheet? Probably if we're a little bit clever. So let's be a bit tighter. Now if we want to get very, very fancy, the reality is we can join these together. We just need to then be thoughtful about the overlap in terms of what does that mean for pens, lines, because we're then using the laser cutter to cut the same place twice. What we should do is actually join them together and then use lines to separate it so we're not doubling up. But we'll keep it as fills for now, just to be nice and simple. So we're starting to now clean up and rationalize our cutting pieces based on page sizes. Hopefully that'll make sense. You see where I'm going. There's still a bit of work involved in this, but hopefully you can do the same thing yourself.